Švedijos diplomatas Larsas Fredenas, šiuo metu einantis ambasadoriaus pareigas Kinijoje, atgimimo laikais dirbo Lietuvoje, Latvijoje bei Estijoje ir už šį darbą nusipelnė ne 2 valstybinių apdovanojimų. Anot ambasadoriaus, Lietuvoje tais laikais dirbti buvo smagiausia, tai buvę tikri diplomatijos laukiniai vakarai. Lietuviai buvo mažiausiai linkę į kompromisus, pasižymėjo dideliais užmojais ir visur norėjo būti pirmi. Pirmuosius diplomatijos žingsnelius laisvėjančioje rytinėje Baltijos jūros pakrantėje tuo metu žengusi Švedija, kuriai atstovavo Larsas Fredenas, atsidūrė kiek dviprasmiškoje padėtyje, mat tai buvo vienintelė Europos šalis sovietiniais laikais pripažinusi Lietuvos, Latvijos ir Estijos aneksiją. Tad pradžia nebuvo lengva. Švedija tarsi svyravo tarp noro padėti laisvės siekiančioms tautoms ir nežinomybės dėl sovietinės valdžios atsako. Mūsų šalyje neseniai buvo išleista Larso Fredeno knyga, kurioje aprašomi 1989–92 metai. Už nepriklausomybę tuo metu dar tik kovojusių Baltijos šalių vargai ir Švedijos diplomatijos užkulisiai.
Poor, it was dark, it was cold, and grey, and very hard to communicate. I had no secure lines of communication.
What was that helped you to survive here?
Oh, no one. I was completely alone.
But I think you made friends here.
Of course I made friends, but I mean I didn't have an assistant. No, I didn't have any.
You was just alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was because of a lack of the people that Sweden decided to put into Baltic states.
You mean why didn't we have more resources?
Yeah.
A very good question. I don't know. I spent a great deal of my time arguing to the Ministry for Foreign Affairs in Stockholm that the resources given to the operation out here in Estonia and Latvia, in Latvia and Lithuania. Estonia was fairly well taken care of, but in Latvia and Lithuania should be increased very much, and I was never, they just said we don't have the resources and so on.
Maybe it was also like a lack of belief that Baltic states can really become independent and that Soviet Union can really collapse.
Well, yes, possibly, yes. Well, certainly there was such. Well, I could comment on that question. Did people believe that the Soviet Union would collapse? And if you're interested, I think I certainly didn't believe that the Soviet Union would collapse when it did. I did not see it coming. I had a very hard time believing that it had happened even after it had happened.
Mm-hmm.
I saw, of course, that the Soviet Union was an untenable proposition, so to speak. I mean, it would sooner or later crash or collapse or melt down. But I foresaw even in 1990, 91, I saw a 5, maybe 10-year long period of continued friction with no clear outcome. And I had not believed it would happen so quickly.
But people in Baltic states and I don't know, probably especially in Lithuania, like Mr. Landsbergis, he always believed that it will happen. So how did you saw those people in that time? Did they look like naive to you or?
No, I wouldn't say naive, no. Obsessed or fanatic is not good words, but it's something like that, and maybe careless too. Careless is not the right word either. Carefree is the word. Carefree. It seemed to me sometimes that people here and in Latvia but particularly here, of course, were not sufficiently afraid, so to speak. The genius of the Lithuanian freedom struggle was to differentiate between the de facto and de jure world, and to move the de jure pieces, the legal pieces from one place to another, and then sort of pretend that you were independent. And then your declaration of the 11th of March was a kind of, we're independent, and boom, we're independent. But I mean, you were not independent.
We didn't have control of.
No, you didn't have control of your territory. The KGB controlled your borders. The Soviet army was here. The ruble was the currency, and the KGB, etc., etc., etc. So, and no one recognized you. But the act of pretending, finally became reality. And this is the great trick.
What was the strategy of Sweden in Baltic states?
We didn't have a strategy.
Yeah.
We didn't have a strategy.
Okay, you also mentioned that Lithuania was somehow exceptional, somehow different from Latvia and Estonia, as if Lithuanians felt like they were superior, or I don't know, they were always first. Why did you got that impression?
Oh, because it's true. That's the way you felt. I mean, obviously that's the way you felt.
And how do you think why we felt like that?
Oh, well, there are lots of reasons. One is that you were Landsbergis was the most what's the word? Principled and unafraid, and also provocative and irritating to the Russian side. He was the toughest. And the word is uncompromising of the Popular Front leaders. Obviously there was no competition for that spot. I mean, it was he.
Haven't you noticed that maybe in the Baltic states we had some kind of illusions about Europe and also about Sweden, and how it will be after we will gain independence. We had some kind of myth that everything will be put on a plate and so on.
At the time that I describe, 89 to 91, very few people thought about what would happen on the morning after, so to speak. Once true independence and recognition by other countries had been attained, what would one do with it? Very few people thought about that. Naturally so, I suppose, because so much energy was required in obtaining independence that there wasn't much time left for thinking about what would happen afterwards. I have written another book, by the way. There are two books. There's another one which is much bigger than this one, which covers the period that you are touching on. It covers the period 92-94. It was also a time when the Swedish establishment very clearly asked itself, oops, the Soviet Union no longer exists, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania exist, Kaliningrad, Russia, what now do we do? Intellectually, to me, a much more interesting time than this one, because I was involved in creating a Swedish policy. During that period, there were some here and in Estonia and Latvia who did indeed think that now that you have become independent, you would on day one be accepted to the European Union and into NATO. But that feeling disappeared very quickly. And instead, you began the very boring but extremely important business of nation building, of creating structures for the nation. Really a huge educational effort, and as heroic as that time, in my opinion. Not as spectacular, but as heroic.